Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 297, recorded live on Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Just almost jumped ahead in the week, but it is still Tuesday. And my name is Steve, but of course I am joined by Barry. Barry, how's it going?
Hey, Steve. Happy to be here. And, I wouldn't hate it being Thursday night instead of Tuesday night, closer to the weekend.
That's true. That's true. I'm also helping out with the high school football game on Thursday, so I wouldn't be here if it was Thursday
Oh, no.
evening. So, yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Unfortunately, Greg couldn't make it on this episode, but we'll hopefully have him back on the next episode. On this episode, we're going to be talking all about these summer events that happened here recently. We got Gamescom. We have Nintendo dropped a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and then also an Indie World on us just this morning. So thank you so much for doing that on a Tuesday morning instead of a Wednesday morning right after a podcast recording. So that's like one of the first time that's ever happened. But then we got some other things to talk about as well. But before we jump into any of that, we just want to thank you so much for being here. And if you haven't followed us on social media, we just want to recommend you do that at NintendoFuse. You can find us over there on Twitter and Instagram and all the other social medias. And also, if you haven't joined our Discord, we'd love for you to join that as well. We got a growing community over there that's just a fun place to talk video games. So thanks, again for tuning in. As always, we're gonna jump into what we've been playing first. And if you were joining us live, be sure to let us know in the live chat, both on YouTube and Twitch, what you guys have been playing. Or if you're watching after the fact, let us know in the YouTube comments, or also toss that in our Discord as well. So Barry, what have you been playing over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so last time I wasn't sure what I would be playing because I had finished up and I had 2 weeks or so before the next games that I'm really looking forward to and planning on playing. So I found something to play, which we'll get to, but I did do a couple other games first. So on the Switch, Pokemon Unite and Star Wars Hunters, my dailies. Just been enjoying them both. Still Star Wars Hunters is it really captivated me. Like I'm doing like 5 to 6 matches or so, whatever I need to do, at least do my daily. But I'm also like having fun with the other events, and yeah, I'm just having a blast with the game. So I'm still doing that. Pokemon Scarlet, I went back to. They're doing a Dragonite raid right now for a perfect Dragonite, so I went back and did that. A couple games that we will be doing game chats on. Iron Meat, which is a Contra-like run and gun. Beat that. Soko Penguin, which is a platformer with a little bit of like Sogoban or voxel elements, and it's a puzzle platformer. And Phantom Spark, which is a really unique racing game. It's like a time trial style racing game with a really metaphorical story. Like it's really interesting. But we will be doing game chats on all three of those titles in the foreseeable future. I've been playing a little of one of the games I'm looking forward to is MEO, the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. So I've been doing the demo. I did the prologue and I did part of the first chapter, and I know the second chapter is available and the third chapter goes available tonight and probably here within the next hour. So I plan to have that ready to go before Thursday. But then, what captivated me and what I did not see coming was I decided to go back into visual novels because I haven't done a visual novel in a while, and outside of the Famicom Detective Clubs. But it's a visual novel, but it's a little bit different. And I was using a guide. I wasn't really like going through. And according to Visual Novel Database, the third highest rated visual novel on the Switch. I hadn't played, and it just came out, finally localized for the first time. It's over 2 decades old, and the remake's 3 years old. So decided to try it, and that's Tsukahime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon. Not only is this fantastic, according to the Switch, I put 75 hours into it. Now, granted, I didn't because I had my kid and I left it up on the phone or whatever. But I'm gonna say I probably spent a good 60 hours in this game, and it's reading. Like this is a really good story with multiple paths, multiple endings. And I went into this blind. And I was like, oh, cool. This is like a slice of life high school type game. Okay, cool. Meet the girl, meet my best friend. Like, okay, cool. And then suddenly it turns supernatural, and like your character can see the lines of death, and you can see where everything dies. Every like your desk is eventually going to die and crumble. Like nothing lasts forever. But that also includes people. And if your character will cut along those lines, will destroy anything, will kill anything, including the immortal, because now vampires get involved, and there's vampires going on in this town and in this place of Japan, and you have the church trying to hunt the vampires, and the vampires trying to recruit you, and you have to decide which side you're going to go on. And here you are, just a teenager. Meanwhile, you're also brought back into your childhood home, because this accident that happened that caused your eyes to be like this. Your father disowned you, but now he's dead, so now you're brought back to this mansion. Your family was very rich, so you're dealing with this home life of this rich society, while also trying to decide: do you want to side with the vampires? Do you want to side with the church? How you want to go about it? It is amazing, and it's only the first half of the game. There is a second game coming, and I absolutely adored this. I loved this. My wife was like reading along with it, like just captivated. And one of these weird things that I do, and I don't know if I can't be the only one to do this. I don't know if you've ever done this, Steve, or anyone listening has done this, but when I play a game, there's times when I resonate with characters and I really like the characters, I start envisioning how they would fit into Smash Brothers. Like if this character was brought into Smash Brothers, what would their moveset be? I don't know if you've ever done this. Um, it's a fun little thing I've done. Like, oh, that would be cool. They use this, like the vampire powers. And then it turns out that there is a fighting game based on this characters, and it came out back in 2021, and it actually came to America digitally, but I have the Japanese physical, and that game is actually called Melty Blood Type Lumina. And after I finished this visual novel, I'm like, well, now I got to do the fighting game. So of course I did that, and it's a really good fighting game,
Did
but
you
it's
pick the
crazy.
moves correctly?
Oh, well, it's a little more complicated
Okay.
fighting game, like a Street Fighter, not like simplistic like Smash. But a lot of the moves I did pick were there. I am a little upset that not all the character costumes are there. Like I would have had like the alternate costumes in Smash. I would like planning ahead. But like, and it's funny because some of the characters are like maids. And they're beating like enemies with like chairs and tables and a frying pan, and I'm like, this is fantastic. The house maid is beating the crap out of like the most powerful vampire, and I'm here for it. Let's go. Like it is just crazy. So of course I had to do that. So that was the next game I did right away. And that fighting games are quick. I went through all the stories on the easiest difficulty and just saw it and stuff like that. But it was like a palate cleanser. Like after this like 60 hours of reading, and now I just get to beat the crap out of these characters. And I never would have thought a fighting game based on a visual novel that we never got in America would ever come here even digitally. But again, they came out physically in Japan, and you know what? I put the cartridge in, and the whole thing was in English, no problem. So that's why I love worldwide, region free. But yeah, if you are looking for a very good visual novel, like something to sit down, something to enjoy, Tsukihime, A Piece of Glass Moon, absolutely great, and it's really hard to find the physical now.
Hmm.
Like it came out just a couple weeks ago, and it's already like sold out everywhere
Wow.
because it want like a low print, and it's just a really really good story. But then on the PC, I'm still doing Final Fantasy 14, and on mobile, Mario Kart Tour, New York Times, the games like Wordle and Connections. But I also did a little Pokemon Go, but not the way people think. I actually logged in. It took me forever to figure out like my Google. I haven't done this in a while. Like logged in because I was trying to use a code to get a costume, and I couldn't figure out how to put the code in. But I went to go catch something, and it was like, oh, you need space in your Pokemon box. I'm like, really? So then I went to go. I'm like, oh, I can spin a Pokestop, and it was like, oh, your inventory is full. So I'm like, well, cool. I'll throw out a potion and then just spin it, whatever. Oh no, I'm like 45 items above my limit. I'm like,
Hmm.
F this game. I don't need inventory management again. I'm not dropping any money closed. So I technically opened it up. I did catch a few Pokemon. I did toss like a Rattata I had or whatever. So I did catch a Pokemon or two. But that's about the extent of my Pokemon
So,
Go. And
so I guess you didn't get all the gifts that I've been sending you as well, then, huh?
oh, I haven't even opened up and
You
looked at gifts
can't because your
because
inventory
I'm
is full.
full. Yeah,
Yeah.
my inventory is full. So again, I am one of those people that I will hoard a billion elixirs to never use them for the final boss, and then I don't even use them on the final boss, and I could
Hmm.
have been using them the entire time. I'm one of those gamers, but I hate inventory management in a game. Let me just have infinite inventory space, and let me just not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Because once I have to stop what I'm doing, and then, hold on, now I got to sort my inventory. Now I got to figure out what to toss. I lose it. Like, it's annoying. Like, you lose the momentum, especially in this, because in order for more inventory, you have to pay for it, and I'm not paying you. So
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like in the chat, Popcorn Minute said Smash Brothers comment got him thinking about Joel and The Last of Us and Smash Brothers. That'd be really interesting too. But who knows?
yeah,
Like whatever the next version comes out for Switch 2, if they say everybody's in it and then anybody more, everybody in the entire video game industry is all in
Uh,
this game.
Microsoft is already getting some of their characters in that they allowed. Two of them, Minecraft Steve and Banjo Kazooie. So come on, Sony. PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale cross Smash Brothers. Nintendo, make it.
Oh boy. And then just put all the Capcom fighting stuff in there too.
Yeah, like everything. It's like
Yep.
a meme, like
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
meme we used to use.
Brawlhalla, throw it in there
Brawl,
too.
get them in there, yeah. Oh, multiverses. Got to add those characters too.
Just make sure they're better. Yeah, I've been playing a few games this last couple of weeks. Played Deliver Us to the Moon, which we're going to be eventually doing a game chat, I think, on that as well. I beat it. However, I killed the game. I made a mistake late in the game, just a silly misstep, and I died. But then when it started to reload, crashed, and I cannot get the game to start back up again. And so technically I haven't beat it. From that point on, I was like, I'm not restarting this entire thing and redoing it. So I just went to a playthrough online, and so I know how it all ends that way. It's like, this is dumb. I've wasted too much of my time to like redo this entire thing. But I'll save most of my thoughts for a future game chat, but I'll say it started off slow, got me really intrigued and pulled me in, and then frustrated me at the end. So that's kind of a brief synopsis of my thoughts on Deliver Us the Moon. I also played Soko's Penguin as well. Barry and I are gonna do talk about our thoughts on that in a future game chat too. Also played some Phantom Spark, and again, we'll talk about that on a future game chat. I did not know what to expect with that game, Barry. I didn't realize that it was what it was, I guess, when I got into it. I thought it was just a regular racing game, and it is not just a regular racing game.
It's very unique.
It is incredibly unique. Played some over on Steam, now that I can actually play games on Steam. Played a couple older games that I just had in my library, trying to work through all those games. One called Moving Out. So you're like a mover, and it's like this really cartoony, silly, boring game. Then also played Agents of Mayhem, which is kind of
Saints Row.
It's like a 3D shooter thing, futuristic, where you like swap between these three different main characters, and yeah, it's okay.
That's a Saints Row game.
No,
it's
a completely different game. Yeah,
I thought it was like in that's universe or whatever.
I don't think so. I mean, I think this is different, but although I haven't played Saints Row, so I don't know. But this one, it wasn't like prefaced with, Saints Row, Agents of Mayhem or anything. But if it is connected to that, then cool. Then I'll consider that the first game I've ever played in that franchise.
So yeah, it is set in a parallel universe of Voltron's Saints Row series and includes several plot and character crossovers.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Well, alternate universe of it. Sweet. I didn't play the original, so I didn't even have any idea. And then of course played from Rocket League. Not as much as I have been. Lots of people are just feeling like the game's dying. I'm kind of on that fence now where I'm starting to think that as well.
Really?
They're not really supporting it a whole lot lately, and it's been cash grabs by a lot of stuff. I mean, bringing in the Tesla truck and stuff like that is
Oh my
just
God.
it's a bunch of like you had to pay like 20 something dollars to just get
What?
the truck to use in the game. It's dumb. Yeah, they're just basically doing that, and they messed up a whole lot of the rankings this year, and so people are getting hard stuck in some different rankings that they haven't before, and it's just a lot of people are cheating now, which is so annoying. Like they'll do some attacks on somehow on the system where like if you are doing really well, they can just totally crash your system and make you have a bunch of like um yeah, where you're just jitter out and everything, and then all of a sudden it just dies. So stuff like that's starting to happen now, and they're not cracking down on it. So it's kind of getting a little
That's
annoying
not
now.
fun unless you're the one doing it to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it has anything to do with the Fortnite thing where they crossed over with Fortnite? Do you think that was like the nail in the coffin?
I mean that really wasn't. It was already going downhill. The thing before that, like with lack of support, and then they brought over the racing thing to Fortnite, and it's not the same as regular Rocket League at all. But now everything is crossing over, but before they did that, they took out trading items. So you can't trade items among players anymore because of the Fortnite connection, because they somehow, I don't really fully understand it. It doesn't fully make sense. People that know a lot more about it also don't understand. So I don't know if that was the nail in the coffin, but I think it's just continuing to progress that way. They're still on Unreal 4. Was it 3 because 4 is the newest one, or is it 5 the newest one? Whatever they're on there,
Five
it's
is
the
the
old
newest
one.
one.
Yeah, so it's the old one. People are hoping that it might even be Unreal 3. Honestly, who knows? It's just not where it needs to be, and people have been hoping for updates and upgrades and everything, and for a while, and it's just not happened. They just keep signing licensing deals with people and throwing $20 and $30 things that you can buy in the store, and that's about it. So
That's a real shame. That's one of the things I hate about online only live service games, which is really what it is because when there's support, it's fun and great, but when they get complacent and the higher ups say, "Okay, look, we're bringing in X amount of money revenue. If we can continue to bring in close to that by doing as minimal as possible, then let's do that so we make more money. So we're going to
yep,
make a skeleton crew key team, do updates, upkeep, add trickle new content until eventually it dies."
yep, yeah,
And
and
then
it
they blame
doesn't.
the game.
Right, and it doesn't really make sense at all because, like, number one, like, there's so much there that they keep like, there's so many modes that people we've had in the past and people love, and then they do them on timed exclusives now, so you can only play these different modes at different times, and then they take them away. Like, just put them all back in there. People love playing these other modes, and then also there's so much in the modding community that have done some amazing stuff, and you can't fully utilize that stuff. It's a like, I think if they just opened the game up, it'd be so much better, but they're not. And the other thing is the whole esports scene is, I don't get, like, they're not putting proper effort and money and things like that behind it either, because in my mind, like, the reason I like Rocket League so much, and it's really the only esport that I watch on a regular basis, because it mimics real sports the best that any other esport does, because it's not based on how well your character does, or when you push this button, maybe it's going to be the right timing to do this and do this specific move. Like, everything that you do in the game is exactly what you've told your car to do. And so it's just like your real body in an actual sport. So if I want to kick the ball, I actually kick the ball. Like, and so all those different elements lend itself to potentially being one of the most popular esports, and it's not. And so I'm like, that's on you. Like, you've got an amazing product here to really market and really take to the next level. And There's a lot of people who just don't even know the game exists, and it's just dying because there's lack of support. So I'm playing it still, but little less each week.
Yeah,
So.
you know what? I can understand that. I mean, that's what I've done with a lot of games. Even Dragalia Lost towards the end, I was playing and I was like, I noticed I'm like they're doing repeat stuff, and that's when you notice when there's a lot of repeats. And I was like, all right, we're ending here. We're going down,
Yeah.
and it sucks, especially if it's something you've put money into. Like that's the worst. Like, so many games like Dragalia Lost, like I mentioned, I put money in that game. I had fun with it. I loved it. Gone, dead, kaput, can't play it, end of service, and I can't even enjoy what I bought.
Right.
And I hate lost media. I'm very much anti lost media. And that the same thing will happen with Rocket League. I don't know if Rocket League has any offline modes at all, or if it's 100% online, or
You can play it offline. Yeah. You can play
can.
it single player against the bots and tournaments and stuff, which are really easy to beat. And then you can play local multiplayer as well. So
Okay.
couch
Well, at
co-op.
least you have that.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you have this popularity that Rocket League had, and then you squander it. You squander
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
All you had to do was, even if you wanted to do a skeleton crew, make it a little bit bigger and just make sure that they're putting in fun items. Even if you want to add the Cybertruck, fine. Don't make it as the big thing for August is you could do the Cybertruck.
Right.
Make it as a supplement to a brand new update with maybe a brand new mode, or a bunch of other brand new content on top of it. And then if you say, well, the Cybertruck kind of sucks, fine, because you have all this other content to play. But when
Yeah.
you're banking everything on the ugliest looking truck in the history of trucks, for $20, people are going to be like,
Yeah.
why am I playing this? And
Yeah.
that doesn't have a subscription for Rocket League. So
They have like battle passes and stuff, but yeah.
they do battle
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah.
Again, so if you're a battle pass player,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, are you going through the
Yeah.
motions? And I think that's what they catch you on with a lot of games. And Pokemon Unite, Star Wars Hunters, I do these too. Mario Kart Tour, you go through these motions where every day you do a little bit or you do something, and it just becomes part of your routine. And when
Mm-hmm.
it becomes part of your routine, a lot of times you overlook lack of new things, or, oh, they're redoing this again. All right, fine, I'll work on it slowly but surely, and they have you on the hook. Some people will spend money. If you're not spending money and you're just kind of going through the motions, that's one thing. But they're complacent on everybody just doing that at this point. And as long as they're just dropping, if they have 5 million people playing and everybody drops $1, that's $5 million a month. And if you're spending, let's say, $20,000 upkeep, you're making money. Even if you're paying 2 people a salary or 3 people a salary to upkeep it, and you're paying them, $60,000 a year, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, $180,000 in salary for these 3 people, and I'm getting in $1 million. Okay, we're still net profit. Well, let's keep doing that. In fact, let's take one of those people and maybe fire them or move them to something else. And now we're only paying 120,000. Now we make an extra $60,000 on Rocket League. That's a sad state of what things go to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing people I think were somewhat hopeful, but mostly skeptical when Epic bought Psyonix. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
really where it all went down, was when Epic bought it. And then it just, yeah, they're clearly, their focus is on Fortnite, which it should be. But like, why did you even buy this? Like, if you're just going to run
money.
into the ground and just like recycle items and all this other stuff, like it was great when Psyonix just owned it itself because it was a passion project for them.
Yep.
And now it's just about the money.
That's it. It's 100% about the money.
Yeah.
It's why does any company get bought? There's always a reason for it, and sometimes it's for good reason, and a lot of times it's just for money. It's, hey, this company is making a lot of money, and I want a piece of that money, so let me buy them, and then I'm making that money instead, as long as I can recoup my investment.
Yep.
And sometimes it works, and sometimes, like Microsoft, it doesn't.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's sad. Rocket League was
Yep.
like a pillar.
Mm-hmm. And it still could be again, but right now, yeah. But on a game that's it keeps flooding me with way too many things and it makes it kind of confusing almost every time I log in anymore, is Clash Royale. I feel like they just keep adding more and more modes and things. I'm like, what is this game anymore? I don't even understand what they're doing, and they're doing something right now that there's some sort of giveaway with some sort of evolution card, and I'm like, I don't even understand that this is anymore. So, but it's still fun playing with some friends that I've been playing with basically since the game came out, and so that's kind of fun, and it doesn't take a whole lot of my time, so that's good. And then played some Pokemon Go, but Barry's over there maxing out his inventory and not accepting my gifts I've been sending him. So
I've been maxing. I used to play that game hard. I was addicted to that to the point that I would go out in dangerous, snowy, like icy conditions to get to the closest Pokestop near me, so at least I had a spin every day. And I would take my wife's phone, and I'm there like huddled in a jacket with one phone in each pocket with my hands freezing, like ice skating myself down just to the end of the block. I live right next to a Pokestop. In fact, they've upped the range, it seems, because I can actually
hmm.
spin that Pokestop from my house now. So I
Oh
don't even have to go out now. But at this time,
yeah,
I had to, and like it was like this addiction. Like, oh, I've got to catch a Pokemon a day. I've got to spin a Pokestop a day every day. It didn't matter. Um, it was unhealthy, and when the pandemic happened, I was able to quit, and I was like, thank
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's when they made a lot of those changes and expanded
yeah,
some of those the Pokestop stuff and everything was because of the pandemic.
yeah, and that's fine. But again, I used to play with
Yeah.
friends. It was like a group around here. We used to go around doing the raids, and like it would be like a
Hmm.
caravan of cars. Next gym, let's go. They do a raid. All right, everybody
Hmm.
go. And like we had community. It was a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's over 4 years ago now at this
Yeah.
point. God, I'm so glad I'm out of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I rarely play it on a regular basis now, but when I'm traveling, I'll still
Yeah.
open it up and everything throughout airports and new places I go, see if I can find new Pokemon and stuff like that. But yeah, managing your inventory and managing your Pokemon space and all that stuff is still a pain. I think mine's in a good place right now, but it's been annoying in the past.
There was also like you could check the IVs. There used to be a website where like you can sign in, it would
Oh
show
yeah.
you all the IVs, and I'd be able to just delete all my Pokemon. And then they cut it, so you can't do that. So now I'm
Uh,
painstakingly copying, like do it, like taking photos and like uploading it in to see the IVs. I'm like,
uh,
screw this. I don't care. I'm
yeah.
done.
I never did that. Like I was like, that's cool, but yeah, I would just my job or my goal was just to collect as many as I could
Uh,
and that was it. Like I
Oh,
didn't
no,
really
I would,
care
like,
much about the
rename the Pokemons. It'd be,
oh, do you
like,
really?
Pidgeot 92 and, Squirtle 94 and stuff like that. I would know what their
Wow.
their ratings were, and anything below, like, an 80, I would just, like, turn to candy unless it was the
Yeah.
only one I had. The community days, I used to drive around and catch, like, 100 of each or 200 each Pokemon,
Wow.
I was, very much addicted to it.
Nice. Well, that's what we've been playing. And like I said, if you have not let us know in the live chat, let us know right away. But also, if you're listening to this after the fact, hop in our Discord. Let us know what you've been playing recently. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know down in the comments. Let's move into some headlines, just a couple headlines, just like four headlines that we'll wanted to highlight for you guys on this episode of like smaller stories, but just want to make sure that kind of things that should be on your radar. We feel like as Nintendo fans. So Barry, I want to kick it off with this first one.
Yeah, so they had the Mario Kart 8 Champion or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Championship 2024 tournament, and that finished on August 25th, so just 2 days ago as the time of this recording. And Luckyo had a come from behind victory to beat out Kevo for the World Championship. So congratulations.
Yeah. And the next day, we had the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Championship as well. And that wrapped up, like I said, on August 24th. And Ling, who is controlling Peach, came back from the losers bracket to beat Rockman, who is controlling Minecraft Steve, in a best of three final match. So, congratulations, Ling, for not only winning, but from coming from behind.
And we were just talking about ending of service of games and games dying. Well, and another Nintendo title is dying. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp will be ending its service on November 28th. Nintendo put out a statement saying that the online service for Animal Crossing Pocket Camp will end on November 28th at 7 a.m. Pacific. We would like to express a sincere gratitude to everyone who has supported the title since service began. We will continue distributing in-game events and adding items until the service ends. So if you have Leaf tickets, they will cease on November 26th. If you have a subscription, there's the Pocket Camp Club. And if your subscription service ends after that, you will actually not get a refund. But they will give you an in-game badge. Congratulations on this in-game badge to show that you had a subscription that went past. However, unlike other games like Dragalia Lost and Dr. Mario, um, it seems that there will be an offline version of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp that will be replacing it. So that is good. Ironically, this game is now 7 years old, so it had a good run, but I hope that we see this more where the online only games get an offline version so people can still enjoy and it's not lost media. So kudos to Nintendo if you do that.
Yeah. And this morning we got to wake up to the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie trailer. And I'm not sure if that played over the podcast or not, but it was really, really loud in my headphones right then. Yeah, we got the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie trailer that's going to be dropping into theaters on December 20th. And of course, this one focuses a whole lot on Shadow the Hedgehog. And it seems to be leaning right into the backstory that we know and love. At least I think most people love this backstory for Shadow. And so they're leaning right into that. And also some partnerships between Team Sonic and Robotnik, who is played by Jim Carrey. He's back. And there's also another Jim Carrey in this movie as well. So yeah, exciting stuff coming December 20th. And yeah, I'm excited to see it. So let's talk about these quick headlines real quick. Barry, anything stand out to you?
I'm excited that Animal Crossing will actually get a offline version. I wish Nintendo did that with Dragalia Lost and Dr. Mario. It's still not too late. They own the data. They can still do that. And I want to see more companies give an offline version of these online only games when the service is done and over so that this isn't lost. It sucks to be like, oh, well, did you play every Animal Crossing? Oh, no, did you play Pocket Camp? Oh, sorry, you can't. Or Dr. Mario. I'm a big Dr. Mario. I want to do a whole marathon of all the games. You can't do that anymore. And they're unique too. Like they're unique experiences, and people spent time and money and effort and making these games and crafting these experiences. So I'm sad to see it end because it's end of content, but I'm happy to see an offline version.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats again to both winners. I did not watch the tournaments, although I usually like watching Smash tournaments. I just didn't have the time to watch it. And I'm super excited for Sonic 3. Like I really enjoyed both the first two movies, and I'm like everyone else. Like make a Smash universe. Come on, make this Sonic crossover with the Mario movie. Let's make it happen.
That'd be interesting. I'm just so happy for Sonic, though. I mean, it's as well like for the studio to actually pay attention to fans and realize, no, the direction you're going with this movie is horrible. Stop, please don't do this anymore. And they actually listened. They turned it around, and it was one of the highlights of 2020 was the original Sonic movie. And now here we are. Sonic 2 was good. I think the original was better, but it was still a solid movie. And 3 looks like it's shaping up to be a really solid movie as well. And so yeah, I'm just excited because that doesn't happen very often. Usually,
Especially not with video game movies.
No, not at all. They're just like, we're just going to push this out for a quick cash grab, and that's going to be it. But here we are, like potentially 3 Sonic movies in a row that actually are really good. And yeah, and it's cool to have Keanu Reeves as Shadow as well. It doesn't
Awesome.
sound weird at all. It just it fit. I was like, yeah, that was a good choice. That was a good choice for a voice for sure.
I just like the fact that they embraced the ugly Sonic and they actually used him in the Chip and Dale movie, and
Yeah.
Sega allowed that. Like, oh yeah, ugly Sonic is a thing now. It just exists.
That was so funny when I saw that in Chip and Dale. But yeah, the other stuff, I caught the ends. I didn't watch the whole tournaments, but I just skipped ahead to the very end of the tournament and watched the last matches, and it was cool actually. To Luckyo was so surprised because Kevo was leading the entire time, running away with the game, and all of a sudden he gets 12th place on the last race, and Luckyo gets first, and all of a sudden Luckyo's in. He thought he was going to tie with him, and they'd have to be a final race off, but he got last place on the final race, which dropped him down in points, and all of a sudden Luckyo soared into first, and he was so surprised, which was really fun to watch. And then another come from behind victory with Ling as well. I'd never seen anybody since like Minecraft Steve come out that like legitimately plays him well. And Rockman was doing such a good job of like actually building blocks and all this stuff, and he was like, there was something he was doing the whole time. And because like you first look at it and you're like, he's not gonna be helpful at all, why is he playing Steve, this doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, this guy knows how to play him well. And it was really fun to watch. Even though he lost in the end, it was still fun to watch him play at that high level. And then Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, I think the worst part of the whole thing is that they're not refunding any money. I read that and was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I mean, at least they just came out and said it, but still they're like,
you get a badge
that's probably going to go away. Yeah It's so silly. So I hope that they are going to continue it. I haven't seen anything official on that yet, but that is exciting if they are going to continue at some level offline.
Yeah, it'd be like a purchase, be like $10 or whatever to own it, kind of like Mario Run, which would be fine. That's great. You buy it, you have it, you can enjoy it, play. There is a crossover too with New Horizons. Like that's like I got actually an email about it because I have a Pocket Camp. I didn't play it, but I signed in when New Horizons came out because you get special gear, special items over. And those items are still exclusive. Like I don't think New Horizons you can get them without connecting to a Pocket Camp. So I wonder for like players who join later on, what they do if they'll still do that connectivity.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's move into our big stories for this episode, and we're going to kick it off jumping right into the Nintendo Direct and Indie World that happened just this morning. And it was a nice thing to wake up to. But then I watched it. So Barry, I'd love to know your thoughts because I clearly just kind of hinted at my thoughts of it.
Well, I mean, I thought the indie world was good. There's a lot of indie stuff. There's some really cool updates that I'm looking forward to. I thought the partner showcase was phenomenal. I was smiling from ear to ear. I was bouncing. I was watching with my son because we've watched every Nintendo Direct since he's been born together, and he doesn't know what he's watching, but he colors on the screen. And I was like bouncing him up, and he's like, "Yeah, I am." I was like, "Yeah, I'm the same way." I'm so psyched. Like there's so many good things were shown off that I'm just like floored. I kind of even expected a little Nintendo shadow drop or a shadow announcement, like they did in the spring direct with Endless Ocean, but no, they didn't need it because we already know Nintendo's, pretty much they have a game every month up to January, with the exception of December. But they filled it up nicely with third party. Like holy crap! Like there's so many things.
Yeah, they did fill it up with third party. I will say I felt bored the entire time. Yeah.
Oh my God,
I was seriously bored. Like I'm like, it's not that everything was bad, because I'm definitely not saying that whatsoever. It was all good, but it was filled with a bunch of remakes, rehashes, ports, like some things that were surprises. I know Zero in the chat is so surprised that I said I was bored, but yeah, I was. Like I was taking notes for tonight and for the website and everything, and and the whole time I was like, there's some good stuff, but yeah, I was not like nothing really excited me from this except for maybe Tetris. That was kind of
Well,
cool to
see,
see.
there were definitely there. I mean, there were ports of stuff, and I know some people don't get excited for ports. I get excited for new people getting to experience phenomenal games, and B, the ease of playing some of these games is just great. Because some of these games that we'll talk about, may be expensive or harder to get, and you have to have an older system, and there's not HD. Now you get an HD version of it. You get easier access to it, and I love that. I think after they did that, and what is it, like the National Video Game History Foundation did that survey, and it's like 87% or 88% of older games are not playable on a current console, which is sad. That's a lot of games. And yes, some games are not, like, even if you get like the deluxe, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, phenomenal game. It's technically different than Mario Kart 8 because it has different mechanics. It doesn't have the two items, but still, to have that many games not accessible to a current console and
Mhm.
ease of use is sad. So to have more of these games come over, I think is fantastic. And you know what? First off, if it's a game you've played and loved, then and you want to play it again, great. If it's a game you played and loved and you have no interest in playing again, that's fine too. But if it's a game you've never played before, it might as well be a new release because it's a new thing. It's like, did you ever see this TV show? No. Oh, well, it's great. So if you're watching it for the first time and it's got 10 seasons and you watch through all 10, it's new to you. You ever
Mhm.
see this movie? No, it doesn't matter if it's from 1965. It's new to you.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
so I think this is going to incorporate to a lot of people who never got to play these games or experience these games, or people who only got to experience them single player, but maybe there's like multiplayer aspects, and now with online that didn't exist or wasn't really as functional back when some of these games came out. Now they get to experience it in a whole new way, and especially if it's a game that came out like when you were in college, like some of these games were. It's like, oh, cool! Now I can play them with my friends. We're all in different places. We all have families. Now we can kind of play online and kind of relive those days.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of positives there, and
Oh
in
yeah.
that regard. And it's
Yeah.
also end of systems life. I mean, that's the Switch going forward. Like
Right.
when the Switch 2 comes out, you're going to see a lot more ports and stuff to the Switch because it's like, hey, it can still go to the Switch, it can still play on the Switch, and if it's backwards compatible, you could play it, upscale it maybe on the Switch too. And that's
Right.
how the Switch is going to keep going. Because why not? There's 40 million units out there. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want these things out?
Totally. Yeah. And I agree with all that. And I think that's really what I felt was like, oh, yep, this is an end of life presentation. And that didn't excite me. Like I'm just looking through the list again and there's so many remakes, so many remasters, so many DLC updates, so many things like that I'm just and some of them were just quick grabs that like we've seen already. Now we have a release date. Okay, cool, but I've seen this already. And so and some of them are just still release windows. So like I don't know like when it's eventually coming out, sometime in 2025. Okay, well I'm like so I think I just was just bored. Yeah, like I think the things that I saw that were already exciting, like they were already exciting. Like I already knew it, and I didn't need to see it anymore. And some of the other stuff was just not my style of thing. However, I completely agree with what you're saying about like the ports and everything, being able to like keep things, and games that like could go away. Now we have at least a version that is on the Switch, and we can preserve all that. 100% behind all that. I just what I saw didn't really excite me, but to each his own. Glad other people are excited.
It's funny. I remember when we did the actual Nintendo Direct, the previous one, and we were on here and we were talking about the Capcom Fighting Collection, the Marvel Capcom Fighting Collection with Marvel's Capcom 2, and like Greg's like, I'm not interested, and you and I were both like, what?
Yeah,
What? How could you not be? And now I feel like Greg's not here today, and you're now in that position, and now it's just me alone going, what? What?
it's true. But I think that's the thing. Like oh well, we get another. another Capcom fighting thing. Like I've already seen what I need to see. Like, okay, like
You do
that's cool
realize
that
some
it's
of these
coming.
games are only on the Dreamcast, and they're like hundreds of dollars, right?
Totally.
Like this is
And for what?
huge.
But I again, I am 100% behind that. I was just never a fan of Power Stone. So it doesn't excite
Oh,
me like it does some people on this podcast. Um,
how?
it's cool to see that it was there. Like that was cool to see. It was like, oh, sweet, that's really cool. But
How can you not be a
I
fan
wasn't
of that?
excited.
You like Smash Brothers and you don't like Power Stone?
It's a bunch of characters that I don't care about because I was always more Nintendo leaning, and so Nintendo like Smash Brothers was way more up my alley than like
You didn't
when
even need to know those characters. It's just the combat and the
I
mechanics.
had Smash Brothers instead. I'd rather play that. It's like Sonic Team Racing or something like that. I'm like, yeah, it's a
Good
good
game.
racing game, but I like Mario Kart better, and so I'm always going to be more excited about Mario Kart.
But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy both. They're two
True,
very different
but I'm not
games.
going to go out and buy it because I'd rather play Smash Brothers, and that's if I don't have the money to spend on all of these games, I'm going to have to be picky and choosy in what I do. And sure,
That's different.
I'd prefer to, I'll play all games and give them all a shot unless I just hate that genre or whatever. But yeah,
It sounds to me
like
like you never played Power Stone.
no, I
I
played
think
it.
we need to.
I played it, but yeah, just never was excited about it. So yeah, again, we'll get into each of the games, but just in general, I was like, this very, very little that really like, man, that's really cool. So excited. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Other stuff was cool to see, just not too many things that I can't wait to play myself. So, um, some people, so Steve is actually right objectively. Oh, well, thank you. Even though he said, boo this man, the next statement. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that right now. And Only Three Penguins is excited about the Castlevania DS trilogy. That was cool to see as well. And you're going to pitch in and buy me Power Stone. Whatever you want to do. But I probably won't play it much. But anyway, let's jump into the details of actually this two-part event that they did. They dropped the Indie World Showcase first, and then they jumped over to the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And so we have all these details, all the different announcements and everything on NintendoFuse.com. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go ahead and do that. And then we have the whole the video is all there as well. If you have not watched that yet, I believe we should be able to have. Oh yeah, we got this going too. So we got both the list on the screen and the Nintendo Direct showcase and everything. I was glad to be able to get all this on there. So if you're watching the video version, you'll have all this as we go through this list. So starting out with the Indie World Showcase, we got Balatro. Is that how you pronounce that? They never talked about it. They didn't actually say it in the presentation. So I'm going to guess here. I think it's Balatro. Friends of Jimbo, which is basically a crossover with several different games. The Witcher, Wild Hunt, Vampire Survivors, Dave the Diver, which was a big surprise, and then also Among Us. This is a card game, and there's a free update that dropped today to get you all of those different crossovers. Also, Neva. Is it Neva? I think it's Neva. This is from the creators of Gris. This is going to be dropping on October 15th. This is an atmospheric platform adventure. Also got Moth Cubit, which is a top-down investigation adventure with multiple endings. So based on how you answer different things, how you the choices that you make, you'll have different endings in this game. This is dropping sometime in the spring of 2025. And then also Coffee Talk Tokyo. This is a follow-up to the previous Coffee Talk games. This was definitely one of those times that I was very bored because I'm not into those games. But that's dropping sometime in 2025. We don't really know. So these four games, Barry, tell me why I should be excited about any of them.
Well, I haven't played Balatro, but I do have a friend specifically who is so addicted to the game, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I just haven't gotten into it myself. But it is a big deal, and these are really cool crossovers. Um, Neva looks, I think it looks fantastic. I never played Gris. I've heard nothing but excellent things about Gris. I know the physical got very expensive very quickly,
Hmm.
but it's really cool to see the development team move on to another title. Moth looks interesting. That looks like it could be a lot of fun. I love games that let you, you know, base the game around your answers and what you do. And Coffee Talk is really big. Like, while it's one I've never played, I've heard nothing but good things about it. In fact, you shouldn't talk bad about Coffee Talk because Zev in the chat, actually his company put out physicals for Coffee Talk. So I'm sure when watching this, I'm sure there's talks of Coffee Talk Tokyo physical maybe, and if there is, totally has my support. It's been like, the idea of Coffee Talk I think is really cool. It's a game that is up my alley because I love the visual novel style things. It's just a matter of time. It's absolutely something I would play if I had the time for it. And again, it's the high reviews and it's got a following, and it's really neat to see the series continue.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually really surprised when I started looking online because as they're starting to talk about this in the showcase, I'm like, I feel like I have missed something. Clearly, they think I know what they're talking about, and I have no clue what this game is. And then when they start showing off, I go, okay, it's a visual novel. And I think if I was into that genre, sure, but that's not my thing. Neva, however, was the one that grabbed my attention from this list. I think the same thing with Balatro was like, okay, I feel like starting off with this franchise, clearly I've missed something over the years as well.
Oh yeah, it's
Um,
huge.
yeah, I knew nothing about it, like, at all. So yeah, of this grouping, Moth Cubit looked silly, but Neva is probably the one that definitely grabbed my attention of this set of four. Yeah. But moving on, we got Sea of Stars, Throes of the Watchmaker DLC. That's coming sometime in spring 2025, and it's going to be free, which is really cool. And then we got Power Wash Simulator Shrek Special Pack, and this is a paid DLC. So kind of unfortunate that they dropped it right after the free DLC from Sea of Stars. But it's going to be paid DLC, and that's going to be, yeah, you're going to be able to use your Power Washer simulator in the Shrek world, which is interesting. That's going to be dropping sometime this fall. Also, a game called Morsels. This is a top-down shooter with RPG card game elements. This is dropping sometime in February of 2025. And then a game called Date Everything, where you have 100 dateable characters. And I really should use characters in quotes because they're personified inanimate objects, including the game itself. You can date the game itself. Okay. But that's going to be dropping pretty soon here in October 24th of 2024. And then we also got Peglin that's going to be dropping. Oh, actually, it dropped today on August 27th. And this is a game that I had not heard much about, but it's a roguelike pachinko inspired RPG with turn based battles, careful aiming, RPG elements, but a whole lot of luck as well, which I don't know about. Roguelike and luck put together, R&D and roguelike does not make for a fun game that I would enjoy very long, I don't think. But of those games, Sea of Stars, Power Wash Simulator, Date Everything, and Peglin, anything stand out to you, Barry?
Yeah, Sea of Stars was my indie game of the year last year when it came out. It is a phenomenal RPG. Just truly great. So more content and free is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Like, what a phenomenal game. And if you haven't played Sea of Stars, I highly recommend it. It is really good. Power Wash Simulator I think is hilarious. I hate that it got a physical on the Switch, but they keep adding stuff to it. So I guess they see these memes online about Shrek, like Shrek and Smash, and Shrek is in every game, and they're like, well, okay, let's do it. So they did it. I think it's hilarious, and if you're a Shrek fan and you want to power wash the swamp, then your dream just came true. Morsels looks interesting. I think the trailer was awesome. Like honestly, I thought the trailer was really, really well done. You could tell there was a lot of passion behind it, and I think it has the potential to be something great. Um, I will say Peglin was probably my most exciting game shown off. I loved Peggle. Like I absolutely love Peggle. It is just
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun playing that game. I played that so much on XBLA. My wife loves it, and I love RPGs. So I'm like that looks like something like I would like almost I almost want to reach out and just like, can we review that? And then I hear you be like, that doesn't sound like a game I'd like. No, I really want to reach out and get review codes because I
You
I want to
should.
see if we could change my.
Here's the thing about it. I liked it all up into the point where they said number one, it's roguelike, which like for the concept, maybe this would be one that I could be okay with. But when there's so much luck involved in this, I feel like if the R&D just doesn't go my way, like I'm just not gonna like this is no fun. If it
I
goes my
don't think it's
way,
that
it might be
punishing.
my
No,
game of the year. But if it doesn't go my way, I'm like, this is dumb. I have no way
I
of actually changing this.
I don't think it'll be that punishing. I'm sure like with RNG. But then Date Everything is another game that I think that was right up your alley, Steve. I think that I honestly I think it's hilarious. I love it. I'm not saying
Sure.
it's a game I absolutely want to play. I love the concept. I love when a developer says, "Let's do the craziest thing possible and make it a reality." It's like the boyfriend dungeon where everyone's like birds and you're date like it's so bizarre. But then with the fourth wall, like you can actually date the game itself. I love that. I think that is fantastic. I think that is very timely with Deadpool and Wolverine just out. But I think that's great. I want to see a game like I want to see a player purposely piss off all 100, like make the entire house hate you. Like does it like the door won't open, like the couch tries to eat you as you like sit on it, like Pee-wee's Playhouse, but like Five Nights and Freddy's version. I want to see someone do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. I ain't playing it, but it's funny. Um,
Review codes, we got to get it. We got to make Steve play this.
yeah. I definitely say Sea of Stars is definitely the big standout, and love that it's a free DLC. That's really cool, and unfortunate that it followed up with Power Simulator or Power Wash Simulator being a paid DLC for Shrek. But yeah, let's focus on Sea of Stars instead. Um, moving on, we got a game called Wobbly Life that yeah. Um, it's dropping in December of 2024. It basically kind of looks like if you had what's the online game where everybody's like running on the same course and everything. It's like a battle royale.
Small guys.
Fall Guys. It basically looks like the Fall Guys people that are just like kind of wobbling around in this world. So anyway, that's going to be dropping in December of this year. Pico Park 2, where up to 8 players can cooperate to navigate over 60 levels. And you can play that today. You can get that. That looked interesting. At least if you have the right people to play with. If not, you could have some bloody noses probably. And then we showed off the Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX. That's going to be dropping sometime in 2025. And then we also got Europa, which is going to be dropping on October 11th, 2024. And there is a demo available now. So if you want to play that right now, you can. And then we also got Cuisinier. That is going to be dropping on January 28th, 2025. So any of those stand out to you, Barry?
Yeah, Pico Park 2 looks interesting, and I can see that being a fun party game. And definitely bloody noses if someone doesn't do anything right, like have some fun with it. Shovel Knight looks fantastic. Definitely gonna be the way I revisit that game. Europa also looks good. I think that was shown off in a previous direct or a previous indie world, and it still looks good. I haven't tried the demo. I think you tried the demo of it,
Mm-hmm.
or at least Greg did. And yeah, I'm interested to see how it turns out because it does look really good, and those are definitely the highlights there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right with you. Pico Park with the right group, it could be fun. Shovel Knight, I was already like because this is basically what the
The original game
collection
with all
will
the DLC.
transform into. So basically, I'm already gonna have it whenever that drops in next year. And yeah, Europa demos out there. So if you need to check it out, you can go ahead and do that now. And then we got On Your Tail, which is going to be dropping on November 21st, 2024. A Metal Slug Tactics on sometime this fall. The Plucky Squire on September 17th, 2024. And then finally, we got Pizza Tower that's dropped today. And for me, all these games, like these three games at the top, like we knew about these already. Again, I was like, all right, cool. Tactical games are not my thing. So Metal Slug is fun, but tactical games not so much. And Pizza Tower, I feel like this was another time where I should have known what they were talking about, but I really had no clue. They're like with the pizza, like they kind of built it up, and then I was like, yeah, I've never heard of this game, and it doesn't really look that fun either. So I don't know. Barry, anything stand out to you from this last bunch?
Plucky Squire for sure. Plucky
Yeah,
Squire looks really amazing. I just hope it sticks to landing. I feel it's got a lot of press because it's unique. It's got a great art style. It's great direction. It just needs to stick the landing, and if it can do that, I think it's a potential indie game of the year, if done right. Pizza Tower is one of those that I had no idea about, like you.
hmm,
I thought it looked like it could be a lot of fun. Almost gave me like a Wario Land style kind of feelings at the beginning, but I've seen a lot of people online like raving about it and really
hmm,
excited about it. So it is getting a physical, so I'll be picking it up, but I don't know when I'll ever play it.
yeah,
One day
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I feel like I mean, and maybe overall, like indie world just kind of was lackluster in my opinion. The stuff that excited me were things that I already knew about, like Europa, Cuisinier, on your tail, Metal Slug, like Plucky Squire. We games we already knew about. Um, More content for a great game like Sea of Stars is great, but it's DLC. Um, and so like I think it started me off on this like I'm already bored from the indie world, and things did get better in Partner Showcase, but I was already kind of bored by indie world, I think, at this point. And so that did play into the rest of the overall thing.
I think you have to temper expectations with indie world, and I know it's not that the games shown off are going to be bad or lower quality or even lower hype, but you're not getting the AAA stuff, so you're getting
Totally.
smaller projects, and I think a lot of the stuff here was like projects that have been in development for a while, and they're finally getting out there on the Switch, and they're finally getting out to fruition, and they're able to make it kind of like before the Switch too. Like, oh, we can still get out there beforehand. I thought it was a good showcase. Do I think it was the best indie role? No. Do I think not even close?
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of the bigger stuff like Plucky Squire and Shovel Knight are stuff we knew about. I didn't know about the Sea of Stars DLC, which is great. But again, even though for me, like I didn't know about Pizza Tower and it doesn't look okay to me. I don't play Balatro. I didn't play Coffee Talk. These are big games, and they're definitely a big following. So it's one of those where, um, you know, you you have to have the right audience, but at the same time, you have to have your expectations. Like, all right,
Sure.
we're going into this, and this is an indie world. We're not going to see a Zelda. We're not
Right.
going to see a Metroid. We're not going to see now the one game that everyone was probably screaming about, which is Silk Song, still didn't show up, and I thought that was hilarious. And when it was like ending, I'm like, oh, they're going to end with Silk Song. And when it was Pizza Tower, I was laughing, and I missed a good part of it just because I'm like, there's so many people that are just going to be pissed off right now that it's not Silk Song, that it's almost become Duke Nukem Forever at this point. And
Totally.
I didn't even really enjoy Hollow Knight. I didn't finish it, and I know that may be blasphemous. I know that Greg loves Hollow Knight, and I know a lot of people do. I just didn't resonate with me. but I feel for those people. Like, I want Silk Song to come out for everybody to enjoy it. And who knows? Maybe I'll go back to Hollow Knight, or yeah, the Hollow Knight. But at this point, it's just a meme. It's
Yeah.
like, how long can they keep it going at this
Yeah.
point? Like,
Yeah.
Duke Nukem Forever was 13 years. Come on, can you do 14? Like, let's see it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching on Twitch, and yeah, that's all the chat was filled with was Silk Song requests over and over and over and over again. Enough where I just had to turn the chat off because I'm like, this is pointless for me to even have it open, because that's all they're doing. It's just saying Silk Song over and over and over again. Um, but
And you know what the
yeah,
kicker is? When Silk Song is finally showed off, people will be happy, and within an hour or two, they'll be like, "What's the next thing?"
yeah,
Like, we're in this society where we're so excited for whatever project, a movie, a book, a TV show, a game, whatever. But when it finally comes out, it's not so much of enjoying it, it's looking ahead. What's the next big exciting thing? It's live in the now. Enjoy what you have now. You'll have what's next when it comes out next. And
yep,
I'm guilty of doing it too. I think we all are. We live in this world where we're always looking ahead. What's next? What's the next big thing?
mm-hmm. Yep. So let us know your thoughts. If you haven't yet in the live chat, let us know in the comments on the YouTube version as well. We'd love to know what your thoughts were, and maybe you agree with me and you were kind of bored during Indie World. I would love to hear you. But if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was so exciting. I can't even imagine being bored. I would love to hear about that as well. So they ended Indie World, and then they moved on into the Nintendo Direct portion, and this is a partner showcase. So this is not anything first party at all. This is focused on third party partners, as they say, partner showcase. And so we kind of knew that going in. Nintendo had also stated yet again that they were not going to be showing off anything about this Switch successor, and so they just made sure that was stated in their social media and everything else. This is not going to be showing off any hardware for the Switch successor. Set your expectations properly. We're just going to be showing off a bunch of partner games that are happening here near the end. Like, they didn't say this, but we all know it's near the end of the Switch's life. So moving into the partner showcase, they started off with Tetris Forever. And this kind of jumps into this whole concept that we've been getting here lately of these interactive museum games. And we've had this with the Atari games. We've had this with what was the other one that we reviewed?
Jeff Minter, the
Yeah,
Jeff Minter
the
story.
Jeff Minter story, and then there was another one as well. I'm blanking on the name of it, but
Lost Karada or something like that, or
think something like that. But yeah, now we basically are getting this for Tetris, and it's to celebrate the anniversary of Tetris. Is it 35th anniversary? Am I getting that correct? Is that what this year is?
I
35
think
or
so.
something like that, or 40?
89, so yeah,
Maybe it's,
30,
I don't know. It's
35.
old. It's almost as old as us. Uh, but Tetris Forever. You get documentary clips. 10 games, I believe, 9 classic games, and 1 brand new one called Tetris Time Warp, which kind of incorporates the old games into this brand new game, which seems really cool. I was honestly, this was one of the games that I was most excited about. It's dropping sometime in this year. We don't really know when, but sometime this year, to coincide with the anniversary of Tetris. We're also getting Tetris NES on the Nintendo Switch Online this winter. And there's also going to be a Tetris 99 Maximus event, surprise, surprise, also this winter as well. So let's just stop right there and talk Tetris for a bit, Barry. Were you excited about all this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when this came on, like, it brought me back to playing Tetris on the PC,
Mm.
which Game Boy I played it on too, but I really played Tetris on the PC,
Mm.
especially with the bombs. I remember specifically Tetris with the bombs, and to see all this and all these games come out, it's great. I love these museum compilations that Digital Eclipse has been doing. I think the Time Warp idea is great. Would have been cool to see a few other titles get there, like, where's Tetrisphere? I feel that game is a great game that is just often forgotten about, even though it's definitely a weirder title. But it's wonderful to see, and it's great to see more NSO stuff. I was talking with my best friend before this, and like, where's Tengen Tetris? Are you going to acknowledge
Mm,
that, Nintendo? That's the better one.
I,
And of course, Tetris 99 makes sense. I'll probably log in and do that cup, but it
yeah.
would totally make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just personally so excited to now see, is it Alexi? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Alexis or something like that? The original creator of Tetris that is now getting the attention that he deserves. This man has created an amazing game that has by far stood the test of time and is still doing some amazing things. And it was sad, the beginning of his story, but it's really cool now that we are being able to kind of put the spotlight on him and his creation. So that's really cool. So yeah, excited about all the Tetris stuff myself. And then we got Star Overdrive that's dropping sometime in 2025. This adventure game, and then we are getting Goat Simulator 3 as well. This is going to be dropping in two different times. August 27th, which today we get the digital version, and then a physical version of Goat Simulator 3 is going to be dropping sometime this November. And then The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the first, is coming sometime in 2025. And then also Star Wars Hunters, they highlighted season 3. That's going to be starting on September 22nd, or sorry, 26th of 2024, which I know, Barry, you've been playing Star Wars Hunters a lot. They basically just highlighted season 3. So that's cool. So Star Overdrive, Goat Simulator 3, The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, the first, and Star Wars Hunters Season 3. What stands out to you?
So starting off, Star Overdrive looks fantastic. I've seen the game early on, and I think it looks great how they're enhancing it. One to look out for. Goat Simulator 3, I think is hilarious, especially because there is no Goat Simulator 2. And when they announced this, so many people were like, "Wait, when do we miss 2?" And 2 never came out. There's literally Ghost Simulator and Goat Simulator 3. They're just like, we're gonna do our own thing. Never played them. I know they're quirky and weird, and I always found it weird that the Switch didn't get it. We got the first one, but not the third or the second one. But now we're getting it, and that's great. The biggest travesty of this entire presentation, the biggest travesty, is the fact that The Legend of Heroes Trails of the Sky, the first, only got a quick clip, and that was an announcement. That wasn't a like, oh yeah, this, like, we know this is coming. That was the
Yeah,
actual announcement that they're
that's not a
remaking the
reminder.
first game.
Yeah.
That's not a reminder. That is an announcement. That is a crying shame, and that is phenomenal that it's coming out, and it's coming out across both worldwide at the same time. Like, talk about goosebumps I got seeing that. Like, yes, more Falcom love, more Legend of Heroes. This is a series everyone needs to be playing. Um, Absolutely blew me away that this was a thing. Like, I literally was just, I have goosebumps now just talking about it. And then Star Wars Hunters. Like I said, I've been playing it every day. I love the fact that it's an Ewok in a captured AT-AT. I think
Mhm.
that's hilarious for the new character. I know some people want another Jedi or another Sith. I like that this is different. I'm sure there'll be another Jedi and Sith coming later on. But yeah, there is already an Ewok Village stage, so it's kind of cool to see that. And there's a new stage coming. So I like what they've done with the Battle Pass characters, and that they're supporting the game still.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Star Overdrive looks good. Definitely. And then Ghost Simulator 3. I was one of those that was like, did I miss 2? They had so many different iterations on the first one that I was like, okay, maybe I just missed it, or they're considering one of those as 2 or whatever. But yeah, I played the first one. It's funny and it's fun. I'm not into it anymore, but it's worth trying out for sure. And then yeah, The Legend of Heroes, like, I was actually surprised. I knew you were gonna be excited about it, but at the same time I was like, that was super quick. What, like, I barely even saw any of the game, and then we're moving on to the next thing. Star Wars Hunters is fun. I don't play it nearly as much as you do, Barry, but when I do log on and play, it's fun. But it hasn't grabbed my attention like it has you. But it's still a fun game that I'm playing. Um, Moving on, we got Stalker. That's Legends of the Zone trilogy. It's going to be dropping sometime in November of this year. Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition, just dropping on September 26th, 2024. And then Disney Dreamlight Valley, there's a new in-game event that's coming on September 4th of this year. And then SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, coming on October 4th. And also Fitness Boxing 3, your personal trainer, that's going to be dropping on December 5th of this year as well. So Stalker, Worms Armageddon, Disney Dreamlight Valley, SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, and Fitness Boxing 3. Anything of these stand out to you, Barry?
So this is the slowest part for me. This
Yeah.
is hands down the slowest part for me, and I get it. Stalker, I've heard good things about, but I'm not a first-person shooter guy. Worms Armageddon, I know there's tons of people that love Worms. In fact, I had a friend in high school that loved Worms Armageddon on the Dreamcast. I played Worms. It never grabbed me, but I know it has a huge audience, so I'm really happy to see this game come back. It was only the PC and the 64, and the 64 is one of the most expensive of the 64 games. So great to have a new option. Don't play Disney Dreamlight Valley, but I know people who have spent over 1,000 hours in it, so I'm glad to see them having fun with it and new stuff. SpongeBob SquarePants, I never got into the show. It came out after I was past that point. But I know, again, there's a huge audience, so I'm happy for them, but it doesn't look like a game I'll touch. And Fitness Boxing 3 is one of those games that I probably should play. Like, it will probably be beneficial to my health to play, but I haven't played any of them. But I think it's fun that it exists, and it's clearly like it's a game to train. It's more of a trainer than a game, really.
Yeah, because in this third edition, you can change their hairstyles if you want. Isn't that
Yeah, yeah.
exciting, Barry? They featured changing hairstyles. Come on. Uh, so yeah,
Look,
I'm with
the
you on the rest
fact
of
that
things.
fitness boxing has crossovers with Fist of the North Star and Hisana Miku, all right, this is a big franchise at this point.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I just thought I'm like, it doesn't look the greatest. And they highlighted that you can change hairstyles on your trainer. I don't care. Uh,
Well, if you're gonna be staring at them, you might as well.
I won't be looking at them. I'm gonna be looking at those like little spots where you're supposed to punch if I played the game at all. I don't really care what the people like in Just Dance look
Yeah.
like. I don't care what any of those things happen. So anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I was interested to hear you say that people that have played a lot and sunk a lot of money into Disney Dreamlight Valley. I don't
I
know
don't know how much
anybody
money
that
they
plays it.
sank, but I have friends on my friends list when they're always on, and I check, and it's like over 1,000 hours of
Wow.
playtime.
Okay, hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that plays it at all. Like I was afraid that it was dying because I don't know anybody that's playing it. Um, and it was interesting. They're like highlighting a new in-game event. I'm like, okay, why did this have to go in there? Like, why can't we just
Because
keep moving
Disney
on?
paid the money, or Gameloft
That's
paid the
that's
money to do
that's
it.
exactly what happened. Yeah, yeah. All right, so moving on, we got Capcom Fighting Collection 2. That's going to be dropping sometime in 2025. And this does have a fantastic collection of games. I didn't write down all of them, but yeah, the great collection there. And then also Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, which we knew about already. That's going to be dropping on September 12th of this year for the digital, and then November 22nd of this year for the physical. And then a game that I was thinking that they didn't even know how to pronounce this, because the trailer goes through it the whole time and they're like, check this out. And then they never say the name of the game. I was like, oh, you guys don't even know how to pronounce it either. I'm wondering how I'm going to pronounce it tonight on the podcast. And then finally they do say the very beginning. So Atelier, but I have no idea what the next one is. I think it's Yumiya. So Atelier Yumiya. Is that correct, Barry? Okay.
I assume so, yeah.
Okay, you don't know. Okay, and then
Well, I don't know.
another
That's how I say it. Yeah.
gigantic long thing, because why not have long names? So we got two of them back to back. We got Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories and the Envision Land, that is dropping sometime in early 2025, and then also Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, Gate Rune, and Dunan Unification Wars, that's going to be dropping sometime in March 6th of 2025. not sometime. It's going to be dropping that day, March 6th, 2025. And then, of course, the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake that we knew about already. We got to see more of that, which looked great. That's dropping on November 14th of this year. So, what stood out to you of this set of games?
Oh, this was huge. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is huge. It's a lot of great Dreamcast titles that getting over, and of course Power Stone 1 and 2. Phenomenal to see them finally come over. Just awesome. And we already talked about Marvel's Capcom Fighting Collection, but yeah, another phenomenal collection. I love that they're doing these. Atelier Lumia, awesome, absolutely hands down. Like it's a series that I've collected since the PS2 days with Iris. I never played them until the Nintendo Direct that showed off Ryza 3, and I said that game looks fantastic. So I had to play Ryza 1 and 2, and I did, and I loved them. Ryza 1's a little rough, but I loved the story. I loved the characters. That was a phenomenal trilogy that hit my game of the year with Ryza 3 last year. It was just a phenomenal game to see the evolution, to see it keep going. I'm very excited, and it definitely seems like if you're interested, this is a good starting point. Open world action RPG with crafting and just great stories. Long running franchise too, and they all have long subtitles. That's just the thing. That's just a staple at this point. Out after the first few, I think the Iris games didn't have. Suikoden 1 and 2. I enjoyed Suikoden 1 back in the PlayStation. I never beat it. I did not enjoy at the what was it? Uden Chronicles 100
Mm.
Heroes as much as I wanted to. But it's a huge franchise. Great to see Konami acknowledge it. And these are PlayStation 1 games. Suikoden 2 is very expensive, physical. I think they're on like digital PlayStation, but to see them brought back is phenomenal. So, RPG, RPG's eating good. And of course, Dragon Quest 3. We've already talked about it. It's day one.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Can't wait. Looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, basically the fighting and RPG section of the the showcase. But yeah, it was cool to see the Capcom stuff for sure. Like Marvel vs. Capcom is the one that I was already excited about. And then yeah, the more and more I see of Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, I'm like, all right, this game looks fantastic. Maybe I might actually pull myself into it. I don't have the time for a big RPG, but maybe I will. So we'll see. And then we got the Castlevania Dominus collection, which brings back the DS games. Is that right? DS games,
Yep.
which was kind of surprising to see. That's going to be that dropped today. So that was a little bit of a shadow drop that we didn't. I don't think any of us saw coming. Sid Meier's Civilization 7, which is going to be dropping on February 11th, 2025. Not my thing, but clearly it is other people's things. And then Tales of Grace's F Remastered is going to be dropping on January 17th, 2025. And then we got a My Sims sneak peek at a bundle that's coming, My Sims Cozy Bundle. So they're fully leaning into that. It's a cozy game. My Sims and My Sims Kingdom is going to be bundled together and dropping on November 19th, 2024. Of the My Sims games, those were not my favorite. I liked My Sims Agents quite a bit. I played that game, but these were not the ones that I played. So, Barry, anything stand out to you from this set?
Oh, of course, Castlevania. I love the DS games. I think they're three of the best Castlevania games. Especially Dawn of Sorrow is my favorite
I think that's the only
Castlevania
one I
game,
played.
and it's so great. I love Soma Cruz, and I love the fact that we're getting these now. This is a absolute must play. If you've never played these games and you like Metroidvanias, you're in for a real treat. And again, these are older games, are on the DS, but they're phenomenal games. So if you haven't played them, guess what? You just gained like 60 hours worth of games today. Sid Meier's Civilization 7. I never got into Civ. I know my wife loves Civ. A ton of people love Civ. It's a big deal, big franchise. Just not for me. Uh, Tales of Grace's F remastered was phenomenal for a number of reasons. One, the fact that they made a statement at the beginning saying like this is the first of the remastered, like they're going back and remastering a lot of the classic Tales of games. The original Tales of Graces is a Wii game that we never got in the States. It was
Hmm.
Japanese only. Tales of Graces F is actually an enhanced version of that that did come to the West on the PlayStation 3 only. PS3 is not friendly, backwards compatible, and or forwards compatible, and unless you have a PS3, you can't play that game. So it's great to see it come back. It is a great game. I know some people aren't the biggest fans of the story, but they love the combat. It's actually heralded as one of the best combats in all the Tales of games. But I like the story. I like the time travel elements and the seeing them as kids, and then you see them as adults, and then the post game, you see them even further into the future. What a phenomenal game! I loved it on the PlayStation 3, and while I won't have the time to replay it, when I eventually do, that will be the version I play, and I'm just happy more people can play it. Tales of needs more love. Tales of Arise was years ago now, and we haven't seen anything outside of the DLC last year. So it's great to see something. Now give me Tales of Abyss. Tales of Abyss needs to come out. I never played the My Sims games. I know there's a bunch of them. I know that because I have them on Wii and DS because of going for the collections. But I'm again not for me, but I'm happy to see them come. I hope they're successful and they bring over other games like Agents. I think there was like a airplane one too, Sky
Mhm.
Pilot or something like that. I think there was a fifth one too. But yeah, not every game is going to be for me, but I know
Mhm.
there's an audience, and it's another EA game. Hey, EA remembers the Switch
Right.
exists.
Right. That was back in the day where I actually talked to EA. They sent us a bunch of free stuff all the time. Oh, those are the days. Uh, and then, yeah, I think it's really cool to see what they're doing with the Castlevania games, bringing them over. It's one of the some of the games that you could actually bring over and put on the same screen and just move the map or whatever, because you really didn't really need both of the screens. But it's cool that they found a way to incorporate that, and it's kind of cool how they did it. But yeah, I think I only played one of those, so it'd be cool to have the other two on Switch as well. Um, and yeah, I'd heard of the other Tales of games, but I had not heard of Tales of Graces, and so that kind of shocked me. I'm like, I don't even know what game this is, and then but now to hear it's part of that whole series makes sense. But for whatever reason, yeah, I'd never heard of Tales of Graces.
Oh,
Um,
phenomenal series.
so let's move on to another section of the event. Five Nights at Freddy's. People are excited about this. Of course, I've never really been a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. But Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 is dropping sometime this holiday season. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin is a free DLC that's also going to be dropping sometime in the holiday season of 2024. We're also getting Disney Epic Mickey Remastered, which we knew about already. That's on September 24th of this year. And then Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, dropping sometime this holiday, which we've seen already. Just Dance 2025 edition to be coming on October 15th, 2024. Funko Fusion, again, seen already, holiday 2024. EA Sports FC 25 is going to be dropping on September 27th. Already knew that was happening. Lego Horizons Adventure, holiday 2024. Again, already knew about that. And Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. Already knew about that one in spring 2025 as well. So anything really stand out to you? That I ran through a whole bunch of them,
I
but
figured you
it's,
would just include the last one because there's
well,
only one more
that's
left.
really the only one that we didn't know about already.
um, yeah, Five Nights and Freddy's is not something that I ever got into, but again, I know there's a huge audience for it, so I'm happy for them. Disney's Epic Mickey Remaster, we talked about it, looks great. I'm happy it's coming. We have a date. Tales of the Shire is not something I'm interested in, but I know a lot of people that are. They're big Lord of the Rings fans. Just Dance, my wife will play it. I won't. But again, there's an audience. Funko Fusion, I now have to play this game. And I hate that I have to play this game because they had to put a stupid Mega Man trailer out to show that Mega Man is playable. And I'm so starved for a new Mega Man game from Capcom that I have to play a stupid Funko game to get my Mega Man fix. I really, really hate that Capcom is literally doing everything they can to give us Mega Man without giving us Mega Man. Give us a new Mega Man game. EA Sports FC 25. I'm sure you'll play it. I'm sure it's a Legacy Edition. I'm sure it's like the 2015 version of the game. And then Lego Horizons Adventure is actually one I'm looking forward to. I liked the three Horizon games. So interested to see how the Lego version of that goes. And Rune Factory, we knew about it, but we saw some new footage. Guardians of Azuma looks phenomenal. I love the Rune Factory series. I love that this is a different take. It's the East. It's very very Japanese, very Asian, and I love that aesthetic. I love how you use your different dances to do the gardening instead of dealing with tools. That and it looks quick, like the rain dance. It's like boom, rain. Watered it all at once. Uh, and the combat looks fluid and fast and good action, and I am all here for it. My only worry is that spring of 2025. I'm wondering if that's also when the Switch 2 is coming out, and I got to compete with a new 3D Mario game or something. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Um, or a new Zelda game, or maybe they drop both along with Metroid
Maybe.
Prime 4.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah, I'm with you pretty much. I agreed with everything you were saying up until probably Funko Fusion, and then I was like, oh, even Mega Man's not going to get me to play this game. It's cool, it's fun, but no, not going to play it. I'm probably not going to play FC25 honestly, unless I play like it on Xbox or something like that. But I've heard like a lot of people have not been excited about the last couple FIFA games, and now with FC 20, like I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. There's some other soccer games that I think are better and also cost a whole lot less because there's all these microtransactions and everything else that they've thrown into all their sports games, and it's really annoying. Um, so yeah, and I think for me, like it's become this whole creation of your team thing, and you get all these cards that you upgrade and all this stuff where you manage your team. And I'm like, I just like playing soccer. Like it's like you have flooded the actual game that I enjoy. And I know there are people out there that love the my team stuff and they jump head over shoulders into this. Awesome. It's just not how I prefer to play the game. I prefer just to get together, honestly, with some friends and sit on the couch and just have a blast playing the actual game together. So probably won't play it on Switch. If I played it at all, it'd probably be on something that's a little more powerful. Um, yeah, I already knew about Lego Horizons. Rune Factory looks cool. It's just not my thing, but it looks great.
I
And then
thought you
we've
were interested in this one. I figured you would be playing this one.
was this the one? I forget. Was this the one that I did say that it might be
Yep.
that it grabbed my?
Yeah,
So
with like the
here's
samurai
the deal.
stuff.
At this point in the whole showcase, I was already bored for things that are happening up until this point, and they okay, Nintendo. We know you're listening to this podcast because you do things to us all the time. So here's the deal for those of us that are kind of in the pseudo journalism world that are trying to cover your events, will you please keep the name of the game on the screen longer than 3 seconds? And then stop with these sizzle reels that fly by so quick that if I look down, I missed half the game. So honestly, I probably would have been more excited about Rune Factory, but I saw about that much of it because I was too busy trying to catch up and take notes and everything else at this point. So this will be a note to myself. Go back and watch the Rune Factory footage because maybe I would have been more excited if I actually watched more of it. Uh, so anyway, sorry, little rant. And then we got to end with a game that I was really surprised to see. We're getting Yakuza Kiwami on the Switch, dropping really soon on October 24th of 2024. So I've never played any of the Yakuza games. I've watched several people play them online, but I've never played them myself. But yeah, not a game that I expected to see on the Switch at all. What about you, Barry?
The director like said like, oh, it won't be on the Switch because we view the Switch as a kid's system, and clearly that didn't age well. I It's a series that I want to play, and I started with Zero, and I did play Zero, and I played, I think like two chapters into it or three chapters in, I forget, and I was having fun, but it didn't grab me. And that's not to say the game's bad because I know the game's not bad. I know the games are great. They're highly regarded. It didn't. I don't think I was in the right mindset.
Mm.
And sometimes that happens where I'll play a game and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it, and then I'll come back in a different mindset and be like, oh my god, this game's great. I still plan to eventually go back to it. The problem is that we really haven't had time with all these new releases coming out to do that, and especially having a kid, that definitely takes away some of that time. And some games like Tsukihime, where I'm like, oh, this will probably take me a few days as a visual novel, and it took me 60 hours. It took me 10 or 11 days. It took me 11 days to read a book. So it's like okay, I mean, it's a big book. It's probably like 700 pages or whatever. But it's still one of those things where I'd like to. I have them all, and I've heard like a Dragon games and the RPG element are fantastic. I've heard people say the newest one was like their game of the year last year,
Hmm.
and I believe it. I absolutely believe it, and I want to share that excitement with them, and hopefully one day I'll be able to catch up and do that. I am happy to see it go to the Switch. I'm sure there's going to be more. I'm sure we're going to. Odd that they're doing this one, which is a remake of one, as opposed to Zero, which is not the first game released, but canonically the first. But it's I'm sure we'll see them all on the Switch or the Switch 2. Like it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, I'm sure they can all run on the Switch, so they'll put them all on the Switch, enhanced by Switch 2 or something like that.
Yeah. 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 I was also, yeah, like you said, was really surprised to see it there. Um, probably won't play it, but kind of cool to see it on there. And I'm wondering what, yeah, the developers are thinking now. Like, are you going back and eating those words now, or just like, you know what? Even if it is a kid system, there's money to be made.
They see the 140 million sold. It's hard to
Yeah.
look away from that. There's an audience there, clearly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I overall the biggest thing for me was this definitely seemed like this is definitely an end of the system showcases, and which really makes it interesting, like what we're gonna see. Are they actually gonna drop a Nintendo Direct in August or in September? Because usually they do, but like, did this take the place of it? And if that's the case, then are we set for probably the rest of the year? I would assume, unless there's like a special like mini direct that's on a specific thing or something. But I think this is
Yeah,
it.
I think, well, historically, like we were talking before, the past 6 years, they have had a September Direct. I think this eliminates a September Direct in terms of because it's so close. And they're not going to do a Nintendo focused Direct where it's only first party stuff when we already know what's coming out, and they wouldn't include third party. That would be weird. The fact that there's a partner showcase to me says there's not going to be a standard Direct. Otherwise, they would have put it all together.
Yeah.
Um, Now they could do a Direct on Zelda. I can see them possibly doing that in September. But again, it's a game we know about. And I see some people say like, oh, now they're going to show the Switch successor before the end of the year because this came in August, and I don't think so. I think this is I think Game Awards will be the only other chance this year outside of, like Steve said, a Nintendo game specific direct, because we know we've got MEO coming out this week for August. We've got Zelda in September, Mario and Luigi in October, or Mario Party in October, Mario and Luigi November, um, and then Donkey Kong in January. So there, we know Nintendo's first party. We know it. It's all set up. We know that the Switch 2 isn't coming out until next year, and we know that this holiday sales are important. They're not going to cannibalize it. So I think this was just a way of saying, look, we've got some third party stuff. We're going to highlight that, keep the buzz going into the fall. Here's all these great games coming out on the Switch on top of what we've already shown off. And that's going to be great. And, a lot of these compilations, you know, if you never played them before, that's a lot of hours. It's a lot of content. If someone says, I have a Switch and I'm completely bored this holiday, there's nothing for me to play, my answer to you is maybe you need to try games outside of your comfort zone because your tastes are very, very small, because there's a ton of stuff to play. Even
Yeah.
stuff from previous years that maybe you just didn't play. It's new to you, play it, enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, there's tons. Like the Switch is so healthy, and if this is the last year, this is the 2016 for the Switch. And if you compare 2016 Wii U to 2024 Switch, it's not even night and day. It's like galaxies apart. it is so astronomically different. The Switch is so healthy. This 2024 has been so plentiful. Nintendo literally gave us a game every single month this year outside of December and technically March. But if you count Endless Ocean as April 4th as the March game, which is very believable and you could easily justify, they gave us a game every month but March. But December. That is insane. Go back to 2016. We were like putting games from previous years in our game of the years because we had nothing. We were grasping at straws. I think you nominated like the Amiibo game that you scanned an Amiibo and you played a little demo of the game as in your game of the year because there was nothing to play.
Yeah, it's bad.
So so it's totally night and day. And I agree. It is definitely an end of year. This could very well was most likely the last Nintendo Direct that just focused on Switch. I
Yeah.
don't think we're getting anything else this year.
Hmm.
I think the next one is going to be either Switch 2 only, and then from there it's going to be a Switch and slash Switch 2. And it's some games are going to have for both, and it's going to be on the bottom. It's going to say Switch, Switch slash Switch 2, or just Switch 2, or whatever they call it, Switch Successor. That's what they should just call it, Switch Successor at this point.
Yeah, just call it that. What it is. Super Switch successor. Yeah, yeah. Let's move on because you're actually going quite long already, and I did not. I mean, we had two basically Nintendo events that we get to discuss, but there was also another little tiny little gaming event going over in Germany this last week. I think it's called Gamescom. I don't know. Have you ever heard of it? Uh,
Yeah,
so yeah,
only
the
the
big
largest gaming show.
the biggest event ever, Gamescom, happened this last week in Germany, of course. And yeah, Nintendo made a point to say at the very beginning that they were not going to Gamescom this year, but there were still several different Nintendo games that were shown off there, Barry. So if you want to kind of run through anything that stood out to you, we probably don't have enough time to like cover everything in detail, but yeah, there
Yeah, I'll
was a
go
lot
through
of
the
stuff that
list.
happened at Gamescom.
Yeah, so there was two different showcases. There was the Gamescom opening night live with Jeff Keighley. That happened. Then there was the Future Game Show. So the Games Night opening night live 2024 had a couple games shown off that are going to the Switch, or are on the Switch already. Dave the Diver has a crossover. We just did the Bolitro with Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver also has a crossover with Balatro in its game, as well as MXM Tune and Potion Craft. That's happening October 2024. There's Nico Derico, The Magical World, coming October 2024. There's King of Meat, which is to be determined when that's coming out. So we talked about it already. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 was shown off. That's coming the February 11th, 2025. Little Nightmares 3 is coming next year. And there's Flowtopia 2025. So all those were shown off at the official opening night with Jeff Keighley. Those are all coming to the Switch. There were other games shown off. It's a large presentation which you could watch. Steve, did anything there stand out to you or anything interest you?
Not really. I mean, like, I know Civ was probably the biggest announcement. We kind of knew that was going to happen at a time. Really cool. Looks like a fantastic game, but I'm not into it. Not my thing, but looks really cool. Day the Diver's fun. I haven't played enough of it to be excited about more DLC and updates and stuff. But it's a really fun game. But yeah, overall, I was kind of like, eh. I was more bored by this stuff actually than the Nintendo Direct stuff. So
Yeah, like Little Nightmares, I've heard great things about. It's just not my thing. Dave the Diver, I've heard great things about. I just never played it. But for me, Civ 7, we've already talked about in this very podcast. But for me, the one that stood out was Nico Dorico, The
hmm,
Magical World. I love platforming games, and it just looks like a lot of fun. Like I
mhm.
love 2D platforming games. It looks colorful, it looks pretty. So that's the one I have the highest hopes for. We'll see. It almost reminds me of like DKC
Yeah,
Returns, DKC Tropical Freeze, and I
yeah,
love those games.
yeah.
So there's even like a minecart section in the
Hmm.
trailer. So
Yeah,
you could tell that this game was heavily inspired. And there's a little Crash Bandicoot thrown in there too, where there's
totally.
like a scene in the show where it's running forward. So it's almost like Crash Bandicoot cross Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
So I think that's the one that stands out that I will,
yeah,
depending on how it is, I'll check it out.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'll play it or not, but it looks good. But yeah, it reminded me so much, yeah, of some classic, challenging but classic platformers.
Yep. So then we had the Future Game Show, which was streamed Wednesday, August 21st, and there was more shown off for the Switch in the Future Game Show. So there was Sid Meier's Civilization 7, again February 11th of next year. Raven's Watch, which is coming later. It's like an isometric Diablo style hack and slash. Caravan Sandwich, which is coming September 2024. Bloomtown, A Different Story, that is coming September 24th of 2024. Fast Penguin, September 2024. Yes, I said that specifically. There are three A's in that title. Lost Ping Heroes is coming soon. We don't know when. Lost Edelon's Veil of the Witch is coming to be determined. The Stone of Madness is coming in 2025. Beyond Galaxyland is coming September 24th, 2024. And Sunset Hills is coming soon. So quite a bit for the Switch shown off. Steve, any of these stand out?
Yeah, honestly, most of them are like they look like decent, solid games. But really, Raven's Watch was the only one that really grabbed me and like wanted. I want to know more about that game, and it might be one that I ended up picking up. But we don't know a whole lot about it, and we don't know when it's coming out yet. But yeah, that's the one that stands out of the rest from the rest of them. They're all seem fun. None of them seem like horrible games, but the rest of them were just didn't grab me.
Yeah, Raven's Watch was definitely the one that really stood out. I love Diablo. It looks great. So I'm interested. Bloomtown, A Different Story, looks like a fun RPG. Um, so I'm interested to know more. Fast Penguin looks like it could be a lot of fun. It reminds me of like Fall Guys, almost like a Fall Guys style game, but you're just like racing as a penguin on this like belly and stuff, and I think that could be fun. Again, I enjoyed Fall Guys. With the right crowd, I think it could be a lot of
Hmm.
fun. Lost Adelos Veil of the Witch has potential as well. It looks really interesting for me. So, really cool to see some Nintendo stuff, especially considering Nintendo themselves weren't there, and they announced that they weren't there. I think they weren't there because I don't think they needed to be, because we already knew all the games they have. They have nothing to surprise that they want to talk about now. Third parties are there representing themselves, so they didn't need to go. Um, I think next year they'll be there because they'll have the Switch 2 and they'll showcase that off. But they really did no need. And clearly they had this Nintendo Direct Partners showcase ready to go, so they're like, all right, they'll do their thing and we'll do our thing and we're fine. But it's great to always have gaming events, and with E3 kaput pretty much, this is the largest gaming show period.
Hmm.
So it is a big deal.
It's true. Yeah. Let's move on because Nintendo also dropped something that was kind of like just hey, we're doing this, and I was really excited to see. So Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, Zelda, many other great franchises for Nintendo, shows up in Kyoto, Japan, to show off the new Nintendo Museum. We got this whole tour, pre-recorded tour on August 19th, and kind of walks through this entire upper level first, which is basically the history of the Nintendo consoles and games and everything first party, shows all that off, and then it goes down to the first floor, and there's all these interactive games that you can play, and a lot of games that they had from the past they've kind of updated, and this kind of not really virtual reality, augmented reality, kind of all these different ways to interact and play these games, and was really cool. So it's going to be, of course, Nintendo like museum. So they're not just going to have you walk around and be bored the whole time. No, they want you to interact and have fun while you're there as well. So Barry, what do you think of the Nintendo Museum, and when are we buying our tickets?
I am in love. I think this was fantastic. I got to watch this with my wife and son, and he didn't know what the hell's going on, but it was great just looking around and seeing what they did and how they did it. You know, it made me really proud to see my wife be like, "Oh, I recognize that and that and that and that." You know, there's a lot of stuff in there that, I was like, "Oh, cool." Like I'm glad to see they remembered this thing exists. And a lot of stuff there that like I saw and I'm like, I've been looking for one of those, and you have it right there, I think this is phenomenal. I know it's a lottery system right now, like to even get in. It's a lottery just to get the tickets, and it's cost around $22 for admission, which is fantastic. And I believe on opening, it opens October 2nd. I think the first entries in get a grand tour by Shigeru Miyamoto himself.
Wow.
So like that would be amazing. But I love that they put that interactivity on the first floor. Like that's a very Nintendo thing to do, and I like the Ultra Swing and the Ultra Hand were there. They didn't show the Ultra Hand, but it's on the website as one of the activities. And with the swinging, the baseball, when he started doing it, I'm like, he is going to hit that
Right.
stuff. People are gonna break it.
I said
And
the
then it
same
was like,
thing.
oh, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's genius. That's a Nintendo way to do it. And they have like the room set up like 1970s and 80s, Japanese homes, and I love that. Like Nintendo is just fantastic, and the
Hmm.
Hanafuda where you can design your own car and they teach you how to play. That is awesome. Like that, they
Yeah.
bring a certain charm. Even the pillars having the bricks and the question mark blocks, like it's just chef's kiss. Like
Yeah.
I love it. I wish it was closer, and I'd love to make my own.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think it's been really cool to see what Nintendo has done lately with physical space. Because I always go to the Nintendo World Store, in New York, and love being there, love seeing what they've done, and because it's not overdone, but it's like it's just good, and it feels good to go in there. And then now being to Super Nintendo World and Hollywood, that was fun just to be in their space. And here they are creating another space, which is completely different than either the stores and their amusement parks, but it's still very Nintendo, and it's got their touch on it, and it just screams like, yes, this was designed with purpose. And yeah, the only thing is I just wish Japan wasn't so far away from the United States,
Yeah, I know,
because
seriously.
I try to be there day one, but there's no way. But it's really funny, Barry. I thought the exact same thing when I was like, this is not going to last very long if people are
Yeah, I
hitting
know.
hitting balls at these things on the shelves the whole time. Like, oh, they're supposed to.
They're supposed
I
to.
get it. Yeah.
And I love the fact that they incorporated the cupolas because like that's something that's their only thing they've did for like offices.
Hmm.
And there are multiple different versions of
Yeah.
that. I actually have two of them, and
Hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out how to display it. But it's like to see that and like printing out, I'm like, they referenced the cupolas. Like that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. The
That's really cool.
history with the bowling alleys and the shooting galleries, like I knew that. Like I think
Hmm.
that's cool that they brought that back. What I want to see is them bring back Wild Gunman. And I'm
Hmm.
not talking the NES version. I'm talking the original arcade version that had live footage of like cowboys getting shot and like falling over and all that stuff. Like bring that footage, archival footage, wherever it is. I'm sure Nintendo has it. Bring that back for the museum. And even better yet, release a version on the Switch, like the Hamster Arcade Archives.
That
That would be phenomenal for preservation.
would be fun. Yeah. Maybe they could use that camera in the Joy-Con for something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they use there's already light gun games on the Switch, so why
Totally.
not?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And these games like that we're showing right now in the video, it kind of reminds me of what they have in Super Nintendo World as well. That you have some
Yeah.
interactions like that. And so it's really fun and really cool. And yeah, I just can't
But
wait to go to Japan.
How about the fact that they acknowledge the super scope? Like, I can't remember the last time they even acknowledged the scope exists. And they notice they use the American zapper, and they called it out. It's a super scope from the Super Famicom, which is the same
Yep.
that we got, but the NES zapper, because the Nintendo. Have you seen the Famicom zapper or the
Yeah.
equivalent of the zapper?
Yeah.
It's a revolver.
Yep.
It's literally a revolver.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, we can't do that. So we're going to use the NES zapper, and it's specifically the orange one, not the gray one,
Right.
because they had to change it to be more toy-like.
Yep. I had the gray one. I'm
Yeah,
sure you got both
I
of
mean,
them, but
yeah, they're neither. I mean, the gray one's not rare at all. It's
no.
just the orange one was just a later release.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting that they specific. Like I noticed that like you're not this is Japan. You're not using the Famicom light gun, and you're using the orange zapper. Like legal
Yep.
departments, like we need to make sure we're doing this proper.
Yep. So it's definitely worth a trip to over to the museum.nintendo.com to check out the cool museum webpage that they've made for all of this as well. Check out the video over on Nintendo's YouTube account if you haven't seen it yet. It's really, really cool. And if you do get a chance to go over and check it out, be sure to let us know what your experience is like. And we would love to hear about it and kind of just basically live vicariously through you. So yeah, let us know if you get a chance to head over to Japan to check it out firsthand. Well, we've got our next episodes to be dropping on recording live on September 10th, right after the Big Apple event for the iPhone event that's going to be happening on September 9th. So who knows? Maybe we'll have some Nintendo stuff if they decide to start a new mobile game and announce it at the Apple event instead of killing all the mobile games that they have.
Nintendo's done with mobile.
Yeah,
Outside of Fire Emblem and
clearly.
that's it. It shows Fire Emblem. Mario Kart's still going on, but no new content.
But until then, we've got a handful of games that we want to highlight. But of course, we'll scroll on the screen all the games that Metacritic has on there for coming out over the next couple weeks. But of course, if anything else stands out to you that I don't hit, Barry, be sure to talk about that as well. But some of the ones that stood out to me were Pinball FX is going to have a Goat Simulator table and the Princess Bride table that's going to be dropping on September 29th, as well as MEO, The Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club that we've talked about already. That's already going to be dropping just a couple days on a few days away on September sorry, did I say August? I wrote in my notes, it's August 29th, not September 29th. Anyway, and then NBA 2K25 is going to be dropping on September 6th, I believe. And then Ace Attorney Investigations Collections coming out the same day, as well as Uno Legacy Edition and Yars Rising on the 10th. And then Crossy Road Castle, which is originally released on mobile again back in February of 2020. That's going to be dropping on the 11th. So I know you're going to be playing MEO, The Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club. Anything else that you're going to be playing over the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing MEO, and the other big game is unfortunately not on the Switch, but it's Visions of Mana comes out this week as well. So that's my goal is MEO on the Switch while playing Visions of Mana and doing 14 stuff. And then Astrobot comes out the first week of September on the PlayStation. So that's my next thing I'm really much going for until Zelda. Although I might do Plucky Squire in between. Who knows? We'll see. And we've got some other game chat games that I'm going to be playing that we'll be talking about soon.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the game chat games are going to be what's probably going to be taking up most of my time over the next couple weeks because we have several that we've got to get playing and then record those for you guys. And so yeah, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, be sure to do that because we're going to be putting out some more game chats and reviews over the next few weeks. Maybe even probably more than one a week if we can get those all played and recorded and everything. But yeah, I feel like that's going to be taking up most of my time, just getting caught up on all of those games that we have to review. But But yeah, like we said, we're going to be back on September 10th with our next recording. If you have not subscribed and joined us for our live chats, we'd love to have you there. Every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Pacific Time is when we go live. And we'd love to have you both on YouTube or Twitch. Pick your platform of choice for the live streams. And then if you prefer the, watch after or to listen after as well, we're on all the different podcast platforms that are out there as well as YouTube. And I would love to have you jump on there, jump in our social media, also our Discord as well. All those links are going to be in the show notes for the podcast, but also in the YouTube video description as well. We'd love for you to share this with other Nintendo gamers that you know. And yeah, we're excited to see you on the next podcast. Greg should be back as well. So if you missed Greg on this episode, Greg should be back on the next one as we inch closer and closer and closer to episode 300, which is also going to be our 15th year anniversary, which is crazy to think about. Barry, anything else big going on in your world over the next couple weeks before we wrap up?
I mean, just taking care of my son and spending time with the family and the pups and prepping. Preliminary preps already. It feels like just yesterday we did it, but prepping for the next Premium Direct. It's the early stuff right now, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. No rest for the weary, as they say. So just doing my best to keep things moving.
Nice. Thank you all of the people that joined us in the chat today. We had Popcorn Minute, Zev Zero, Jakester joined us, Only Three Penguins. Let's see, we got Tired Gaming Dad also jumped in there. Just some shout outs to all you guys, and thanks for joining the conversation. Tired Gaming Dad said that he got a chance to catch us about halfway through, and can't wait to go back and listen to the first half. So glad to have you here for when you can be here. Always a great conversation there in the chat room. Even if you are, giving me grief for finding the Nintendo showcase is boring, but that's okay. That's why we would love having this interaction. It's okay. I can take it. Well, thank you guys so much for being here once again. Can't wait to see you again in a couple of weeks on September 10th. But until then, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.